Hi everyone, welcome back to the Geterbrewed channel. So today, look, I want you to listen up, open your eyes, open your ears, take in what I'm about to say. The Northern Irish craft beer scene needs your help. We need you to support local, and I urge you to get involved in the local community. I guarantee you, you will have great experiences, meet great people, and generally just enjoy great beer. Why are we focusing just on Northern Ireland? Because it's really close to our headquarters here. We're going to focus on GB, Wales, Scotland, the south of Ireland, other areas in which we have a big client base, but we're focusing today on the Northern Irish beer scene. So we've some incredibly talented brewers here. We're making some incredible high quality beer, but we've got the most restrictive licensing legislation that you will find anywhere in the world probably. And we want to give you a little bit of understanding so that when you get to know the people and you get to know the brands and you get to taste the beer, you will invest in supporting them. If you're involved in the industry, you will know what a great community it is. You will know how much brewers want to collaborate, work together. If you have no idea and you just enjoy beer, then great. We want to tell you about the struggles that the brewers have. These guys are working so hard, and I mean incredibly hard. They're brewing, they're marketing, they're doing sales, they're the accountants, they're everything all in one package. We have such a great potential here, and there's a momentum of change coming. I just don't want to see the pressures that are facing the brewers in relation to increased costs and challenges around licensing laws affecting their ability to grow. Get invested in the community. I guarantee you it's full of lovely people who are making great quality products and who will give you great experiences. So if you're not sure what type of beer you want to enjoy whenever you walk into one of our brew pubs here, just ask for a sample. They will be more than willing to share that product with you. The one thing I want to get across here is the challenges. So we've got big macro beer brands who have got big pockets, who want to control and monopolize the market here, and it prohibits our brewers from being able to pour draft beer in bars across the province. Madness, absolute madness when you look at other parts of the world where craft beer breweries are thriving. So let's hear from the people behind the craft beer scene here locally, and you can make up your own mind about how you want to support them and how you want to get involved in the community. So I'm in the Sunflower, which is pioneered the craft beer movement in Belfast, 10 years old real soon, and Bob's kindly joined me to give me a few of his comments on the local beer scene. So Bob, why is it important to support local?
Well, we have to support local. We have to support the people in our communities who are brewing these amazing beers that are being served in these amazing local independent pubs. Local breweries are where the more exciting things are happening, and you see that in the last couple of years where bigger macro breweries have started to pay attention and they're starting to realise that they have to change things up a bit. Local independent pubs are I find, where new ideas originate and exciting things can happen. Bigger pubs chains, I think you lose a lot of personality and love and craft.
You guys are selling an experience here. It's not just drink over a counter. So we've come in out of the rain today. We've had a nice warm cup of tea as soon as we come through the door. Friendly staff. There's food here. There's gigs here. You know, tell the guys why they should come and have a beer in the Sunflower.
Well, the Sunflower. We've been here for 10 years, as you said. And over that 10 years, we've built up a reputation of good beer, good pizza, and good live music. The beer that we sell here, most of it is local. We do have a few sexy Belgian stuff, just because we love the sexy Belgian stuff. Yeah. But that doesn't take away from the local breweries that we support. And as I said earlier, it's where exciting things are happening. Like some of the beers that we have here are extraordinary. Like we have a saison with orange peel there from Heaney. We have amazing stuff from Otterbank. We just brewed a beer with Lacada, a black IPA called Si Senor, brewed with our sister pub, the American Bar. Yeah. And that's it. We always our range is quite dynamic too, so we always have something new and something interesting for customers to try, and that's why they keep coming back to us, I think.
Everybody that I talk to, I try to get across the message that we're in the most prohibitive licensing laws in the whole of Europe here, probably in the world actually, in relation to how to sell, drink as a local craft producer. What challenges have you guys faced by promoting and leading the way, by pushing local craft beer instead of taking the check from the macro guys to sell your taps to them?
Every other bar, or every big bar, most of them sell the exact same beer. So you're going to have your Guinness, your Carlsberg, your Harps and stuff like that, and they can be carbon copies of each other. We wanted to do something different. We wanted to support local, and we wanted to basically sell beer that we're passionate about ourselves. As you said, the licensing laws here are very prohibitive and very restrictive, and that makes opening up an independent bar that much more difficult. I sort of feel to get a license, it's only really the wealthy few who can afford them all or harbin them all, and it's very difficult for, say, just one person to go and get a license, or just apply for one and get one and open up their own pub. Yeah. And I feel that is sort of prohibiting new ideas and maybe stagnating the industry a little bit. Hopefully now we're sort of getting a bit better. Like, we've obviously shown that we can come in here and sell craft beer, and we're 10 years old, but I think we're only at the start of our journey, and we'll have to keep going. Same with Belfast, I think it's only at the start of its craft beer journey too. Hopefully we've got an exciting future.
Look, a great community spirit down here. We highly recommend you call in. Super friendly staff, great beers on selection. Next time you're in Belfast, make sure you call into the Sunflower for a beer. Okay, so we're in the Ulster Sports Club on the 3rd floor. We're out of Office Brewery. It's a brand new brew pub in the middle of Belfast city centre, and I'm joined by Tim. And Tim, the reason I'm making this video is just to get across the message, the need to support local. So why should the viewers be supporting the brew pub here?
The beer community is quite small in Northern Ireland, and I think it's exciting on one hand in that it's growing and it's getting better, and more people are getting involved in the game. But at the same time, with the increased cost of everything, which everyone's fully aware of when it comes to the cost of ingredients, wages, electric, everyone's fully aware of it. But it's more important now more than ever to support this industry and to keep it going and thriving, and so that it doesn't disappear and people sort of drop off the game. We'd like to see more people get involved in it more than anything, and now the time is better just to support that industry and support the smaller guys, the craft breweries, independent operators, because it's a great scene. It's really good to see it thriving now.
Yeah. The unique thing with the USC here is that, like out of office, when you come in here, it's an experience. You know what I mean? You're coming in. You're doing brewery tours for tourism. You're taking members of the public around the brewery. They're able to get tank fresh beer, check side pour taps, nitro taps. What is the difference between, like, you'll have this experience from the group, between the macro bars and the craft bars, and why is it important that people come and experience the flavours and beers that you're doing here?
There's a big education out there and awareness that we're trying to promote. There's people coming in the bars now saying what craft beers they do, what local craft beers they do, and it doesn't end at that. There's a vast range of beers you can make, and a lot of people don't know about, and it's all about sort of making people aware of that and trying new things. And these kind of bars, this brew pub here, Bullhouse, those kind of places, they're all about promoting the wide range of beers that are out there, local made beers. We're seeing the people locally doing it, and we want to lead by example and just get more people involved and more interested in it. Yeah.
There's something here for everybody. So there's natural wines, craft sodas, craft beers of all different flavours. So look, next time you're in Belfast City Centre, make sure you come and check the place out. Johnny and Katie are the two brewers, and there's a really passionate team here, so come say hi, chat to them about beer, and just generally enjoy the experience. We're in Norn Brew Company in Dunmurry here, and this message does not get across to people how hard Aaron and Paul work here. Well, Aaron specifically, maybe not. Yeah. Paul doesn't work just as hard as you do. But, like a 200 litre Brewix brewhouse, hand packaging each individual can, just a real attention to detail and passion for making really good quality beer. So part of what I want to do today is obviously introduce you to Aaron, but equally, Aaron, why should people support local breweries and buy your beer?
Everything, like Providence, everyone goes on about the food scene and they're all like, oh, buy local, all their produce and all, and then when it comes to beer, everyone seems to be macro beer or wine, whereas there's produce made all over the country that's quality ingredients, lots of time, effort and love put into it for like in the middle of winter in here, 3 degrees or lower, packaging for 10 hours a day, with your nose tripping you like. So you do it to love it, and the beers are quality all over the country. As I say, we double brew ours, so 500 litres per brew.
Yeah.
And then packaged about 1,000 cans, like, so compared to other breweries, like, we're tiny, but I think the quality for the beers speak for themselves.
Yeah. You guys won't get how hard Arn works in here, but I can tell you he works exceptionally hard, and in the challenging environment that we have coming, like we all know that everybody has pressures financially, energy's going up. He's manually doing everything at every stage. Please get out there and support your local breweries. It will make a difference. Quickly, Arn, touch on how difficult is it for you to get your beer pouring?
Draft, especially, everywhere you go, they're like, oh no, our cellars are controlled by one of the big breweries, and then they're like, I've even offered we'll bring the chiller and the tap and everything, and I was like, we won't go through your cold store, and they're like, no, all the kegs we sell has to be through them. Trying to get it on tap most places in the country, it's extremely difficult. Absolutely horrendous. Like you can sell cans, the bars and stuff, because they're not tight, but most people when they go into a bar want a pint. But like, yeah, it's crippling. Like, we could be selling kegs, like absolute massive numbers of kegs, and then packaging kegs and everything's a lot easier because you can reuse your kegs.
Where can folk get your beer now?
At the minute we're mostly Belfast and the surrounding area, but we're going to push to try and get it sort of available all over the country and independence.
Arn, thanks for your time.
No,
catch you
cheers,
soon. So we're in a booth in the Deer's Head in city centre Belfast, and I'm joined by Roy from Quair Squally, and that's definitely a Northern Irish slang term. If you're not familiar, we'll put the little handle below and you can check out. So Roy's a local beer blogger and has been writing about beer for a long time. So Roy, why is it important for the viewers to support our local breweries, local brew pubs and local publicans?
Ultimately, Johnny, it comes down to, if you don't support local won't exist, in the next 6 months, year, 2 years time. You got to support your local breweries. You have to support your local pubs. Support your local off licenses that are stocking those beers. You walk into a pub, you have your usual macro beer on there. The beers that are sitting in the corner, on tap from local breweries, they're gems. The wee diamonds in the rough. You walk into an off license, you can buy your macro beer, 100 cans for 50p, but the quality's sitting on the other side. The quality is coming from your local breweries. Some of the Northern Ireland breweries are some of the best in the UK right now. If you don't pick up a couple of cans, they might not be there in 6 months' time. I might stop into an off license maybe on the way home from work, and I'll walk into an off license, and I might only pick up 1 or 2 beers, because those are the 2 beers that I'll have that night. I'm supporting the local off licenses, and I'm supporting the local breweries.
You and I know the challenges that there is in relation to licensing laws here. They're totally out of date. The pressure based on a brewer here is totally different than it is in mainland GB, or even in the south of Ireland as well. People don't realise that, so what's your understanding of the way the market operates here in relation to the big boys? How do you see their tactics being deployed?
It's completely different from the rest of the UK. The laws here in Northern Ireland are so archaic, they're over 100 years old. 100 years old. I mean, this law has been sitting there for a century, almost as long as Northern Ireland itself. Not very much of it has changed. Bits of it have changed recently, not anywhere near enough, and certainly with regards the dominance of the macro breweries. They dominate, was it 95, 97% of the bars here in Northern Ireland. You walk into nearly any bar in Northern Ireland, and I can guarantee, I will give you a list of 10 beers that will be on that tap. Maybe 5 of those 10 will be on the bar. And it doesn't matter whether you're up in Derry or Portrush or Newcastle or Enniskillen, you can walk into a bar and you'll find exactly the same beer on tap. Local breweries are finding it really, really hard to get into local bars. And that's what needs to change. If a bar has 10 taps, why can 5 of those taps not be from local breweries? A lot of local publicans don't even know who their local breweries are. Sure, they know that the beer that's made in Dublin or made in Copenhagen or made in Poland or wherever, but they don't know the local brewer who lives down the road. You know, they're not even aware. The fact that there are so many local breweries, 31, I think I counted the last time, 31 local breweries. But I can guarantee you that so many publicans don't even know 5 or 6 of those breweries. Education is key. We need to educate people in Northern Ireland that there are so many really, really good breweries out there who deserve to be stocked in keg on tap in their local pub. No matter whether you're in a town or a city or a village, every village has a pub. It's crazy that the potential that is there and is untapped. It's killing the local brewery scene. It really is. Or it's certainly strangling it.
Roy, thanks so much.
Cheers.
Okay, we're in Bullhouse East and joined today by James. Let's hear from you guys. Why should people be coming here and buying Bullhouse beer?
Yeah, well, primarily to support local, I suppose. That's where it starts. Obviously, we're producing the beer in the city and then able to serve it through the taproom here in Belfast. So we're also committed to then hosting other breweries here for events and, you know, committing to stocking local producers where possible and sort of ensuring any given time we'll always have at least a few of the local breweries on in the fridge and ideally also on draft as well.
You guys have been able to navigate the archaic licensing laws by acquiring a license and getting it transferred here.
Yeah.
What was that process like?
Yeah, pretty painful. I think it took about 4 years to get that off the ground. And obviously the challenge for small breweries here is that you have to do everything grassroots. There's not that much support, and even in terms of getting investment, it's a bit the landscape's a bit different to GB. So yeah, it's a long road and it's an expensive one. With the licensing, it costs the license itself costs about 100,000.
Yeah.
And then you've got like 20 to 25,000 pounds worth of legal fees on top of that.
Yeah.
And that's before you start plastering walls or putting furniture in, and that's a significant amount of money to try and gather together to get the thing off the ground to begin with. So it's a huge barrier for small breweries, really. For us, it was the only option given the landscape here, the fact that locally, I think there was something like under 20 independent lines that you could get in the city, so only 20 lines where you might be able to put your beer through, 20 opportunities to sell those kegs locally, so that's just it's not
Viable.
You can't grow with that limited scope, so it was a no-brainer for us to do it, but the process of actually doing it is very expensive, and it does it'll be beyond the remit of most small breweries. We were lucky at the time to be able to get this across the line in the end.
Okay, so James mentioned something that I want to dive into a little bit more. So 20 lines, that's literally 20 taps, 20 kegs, 20 lines that beer can flow through that are independent and available to the 30 odd breweries that are here. So it's not financially viable, and that's why we need things to change. How is the local community taking Bullhouse in here in Upper Newton Ards Road?
Yeah, it's gone really well. I think we didn't necessarily anticipate the reaction. We thought that it was just going to be the same sort of like the craft beer community would come out and support us, but the most pleasing thing is that we've got a diverse range in terms of customers and young families, and we did want it to be kind of relaxed and an open, sort of open and inclusive space, and it has been received as such. So we have got a broad spectrum, age, all the age, all through the ages and stuff as well. So it's not been one particular group. It's been like everybody is just glad to have somewhere new and fairly neutral to come and enjoy their beer as well.
Look, this Bullhouse East, Upper Newton Ards Road. Next time you're in Belfast, make sure you come and check it out. They're giving experiences out here, so great food, great beer, great staff, and thanks so much, James.
Thank you.
Okay, we're in the Sunflower at the moment, joined by Connell from NS Beers. So Connell would be the key distributor of craft beer in Northern Ireland. So my question to you, Connell, is, why is it important for customers, consumers to support local beer here in Northern Ireland?
I think we spent a number of years building up relationships with these people. We consider them partners. Our whole business ethos has not been about selling beer. It's about building brands and helping. And a large part of these, numerous of these breweries they're all family businesses. And I think something that emerged out of the pandemic was that people wanted to support local, buy local, spend local. We're just trying to drive home that message, and I think there was a huge sense of goodwill during the pandemic for that, but we just want to reinforce that, especially given the economic climate, all of the cost of living increases that are coming, in the next year or so for people. We have to continue to support local.
It's fair to say it's a very unique environment here in relation to the licensing laws for one, for the challenges for brewers, but also equally for the monopolies that some of the large companies have on taps. And I just want to encourage you to continue to push local, not only because it directly affects us as a family business, but what sort of difficulties do you have getting local beer pouring in Belfast city centre, for example?
I think it's a huge problem in Northern Ireland given the legislation. People don't realise, historically we're the most tied draft market in Europe, and we continue to be like that. It's only through great independents like the Sunflower and the numerous other of our trade customers that we deal with, who they're continuing to support local craft. But for the large part, it's a huge problem because most of the people we would try and target and try and do business with, they're under so much pressure from the big companies offering them things that we simply can't afford to offer them. They might give you one free tap, and we try and rotate that amongst all of the breweries that we work with so that everyone gets a bit of that pie, because we want to support everybody and make sure that everyone has their beers pouring locally. But it's a huge problem. So all I could ask, or the breweries would ask, is that if you're going up to bar, you're looking what to buy, please have a look at the taps, please have a look at those badges, and try and pick out something local so that we can continue to support them.
Conal, thanks, appreciate your time. Okay, so we're in Northern Lights in the Ormeau Road. Great bar for supporting independent local breweries. So James, thanks for your time. Why should people support local?
Well, one very simple, selfish reason is that the local product is so good nowadays. We're producing such brilliant beer in this part of the world that it's crazy to think we need to go anywhere else to get it. And obviously, it's not just the guys making the beer, it's the guys delivering the beer, people like me selling the beer on. Our livelihoods all depend on this, and it makes good common sense to help out local business. And
what do you guys do that's different here in comparison to other bars? And that may be something that you think is really common sense to you, but I know you do things a lot differently here than what the other bars do on the road, for example. So what's the main difference?
Well, since Northern Lights started, Sinead, the former manager, made a big deal of staying local, getting in touch with local breweries, having meet the brewer events, tap takeovers, trying to get their products on the taps. And I mean, we do that right now. We have half a dozen taps now, which are Belfast and local breweries. And it's something that's very difficult to find a local beer coming out of a tap in this city, which is sad. So we like to think that we're one place that you can buy local. We have beers at the moment from the Ormeau Brewery, which couldn't be more local. It's 500 yards from here. Couldn't be more fresh.
Yeah, no, credit to you. Okay, so we're at Hilden Brewery now, the oldest independent brewery in Ireland. So it's important that you hear from guys that have been doing this for a long time, as well as the newcomers to the craft beer scene. So Owen, tell us, why is it important for people in the current climate to support craft breweries?
Craft breweries are the definition of a local independent business. We support local, we spend our money locally, we employ local people. It's not just beer, it's a kind of culture thing that people are buying into and developing that with us. And I appreciate things are tight, but there's a small number of local craft breweries here that really produce some top class beer, and we do everything from the hospitality to the beers and stuff, and we try to get people involved locally. And that's what we're trying to sell through to everybody now.
So when you have multiple strains to the business here, you do weddings, you have 2 restaurants, is that right? Molly's Yard and here, coffee shop. Tell people how they can come and enjoy the experience and where they can buy your products.
Yeah, my folks were crazy enough to build a brewery in a Georgian stables. So we find that our business ideas are almost about much as what we do here. Like our beer festival develops just around the site here, and I think it's one of the strongest festivals of any kind, again independent and local in Ireland. It's a great weekend. We've just come through Halloween, where we had a Halloween trail built and people come to that. We've got Christmas coming up, we've got a Santa Day, all these things that something I'm quite passionate about is that you have an adult attitude towards beer and drinking, and that it's a family thing. We talk about the continental people who have wine on the table all the time, and that's something we want to build upon here as a little sort of side project. We'll probably try and watch a space for Beer Festival Mark II, which is more family friendly. Like the day we do on a Sunday at our weekend. So yes, you watch the space. We put all kind of events more and more now on Eventbrite, where people can come and try our beers, and if it's a big enough event, try lots of other people's beers as well. And that's important to us. And I think we got this. We're lucky enough to have the venue that we can sort of put on those events. You need to watch our social media stuff, because we're a daytime operation, but we're always putting on new things. So like Fridays or steak nights, we do a Sunday roast club, and again, just events. Like Christmas is pretty busy at the minute, so we've got a lot of live music on through for that. And Molly's Yard down Botanic Avenue, they're Monday to Saturday, and it's a full-on restaurant. So you see our beers on lots of shelves, fortunately, as the Sainsbury's, Tesco, soon to be Lidl, and our distributor carries a total of independent off-licenses as well. So going forward in the new year, we'll hopefully see a lot more pubs as well.
Owen, thanks for your time. Pleasure as always. Okay, so we're in Bell's Brewery, which is housed within the Deer's Head. It's a brew pub, and I'm joined by Barry here. So Barry, tell the viewers why it's really important to support your local brewery.
For one, we have a pineapple and habanero chili. It was one of our examples. The habaneros were bought out of a local shop. We had, for Halloween, we had a pumpkin spice on board local. So for one reason, we're shopping local. Two, for tourism, because tourists are coming off the cruise ships. This year alone, we had several thousand coming off the cruise ships, all coming in to taste our local products. We're hoping to go bigger next year, get more tours in. Three, at employment, we have brewers that we employ on site. So instead of buying in Heineken and Carlsberg or Diageo products, we can make our own. We can employ people to do it. So we can employ 3 or 4 people in the brewery, and one just sort of feeds onto the other.
Touched on the big beer companies there, the Diageos and Heinekens of this world. We live in a very restricted licensing environment here in Northern Ireland, as you're aware. You've been in the trade for a long time. Why is it important that you remain independent here?
I think it's important to give people a choice. People's tastes are changing, they're evolving. So people now, craft beer is a massive, massive market. So you need to be able to offer something that nobody else can. So we would have 12 of our own different beers on tap. Then what we do is the other local brewers like Lacada up in Portrush, McCrackens in Portadown or Spadetown, we bring these boys in, we give them 3 or 4 lines, and we help to push their products, because it's not easy for them to get into other bars, because a lot of bars are tied up, and with our draconian licensing laws, they can't really get into open pubs themselves. They have to open tap rooms, and it's not easy.
Barry, cheers. One thing I want to add just before we leave is it's a great experience in here. They're not just selling beer, they're selling experience. So you can get a brewery tour, you can get a flight of pies, great food, great beer, great hospitality and great service. So make sure the next time you're in Belfast City Centre, check this place out. So we're in Bullhouse East here on the Upper Newtownards Road, and I'm with Stephen. Stephen runs a blog, one of the local bloggers, Tilt and Pour. Please check it out, we'll put the handle below. So Stephen, you've been doing a lot of great work on the local beer scene for quite a long time, and I like the way you're putting the information out there on where you can buy good beer, who's good, who the breweries are, and the challenges they face. Now, we know the challenges they face, but the viewers watching this have no idea of just the scope at which, or the level at which those challenges are. So explain to us what your understanding is of the challenges for local breweries here, specifically in Northern Ireland.
Within Northern Ireland, we have 1,200 licences, but under the surrender principle, you can't give a new licence out to allow until one actually goes away. So basically, it's a restricted market straight away. Now, without going any further than that there, we have to think now who is supplying each of these outlets. You've got supermarkets, big bars, chains, and so on, and maybe the smaller independents. We don't know what the percentages or percentiles are, but we can say this year, we know a lot of them are gone to supermarkets over the years. So when a licensee pays a lot of money to get their license, some cases I've seen it as 80,000 up to maybe 100,000, depending on what it is. So it's a massive investment. So immediately you don't actually have accessibility to actually new publicans coming in because they're all tied up. But the big breweries themselves, they have such a control over our publicans because they've got cash flow.
Yeah.
And that's something that no publican or not every publican will have access to. And especially with the growing interest rates on anything to do with energy supplies, the hospitality sector, because it's unregulated with energy in Northern Ireland. Someone has to give somewhere. So what these big guys have done previously is, if a company or bar is looking to upgrade anything, or refit or anything like that, they'll just say, here, we'll help you along. But what we want to do is, if we help you out, there's a catch. Yeah. That's normally where they tie draft lines. And that's where probably they make most of their markup. If you look at any of the bar fronts in most of the Belfast City Centre, most of Northern Ireland, you'll see the same old faces. Like, you've got all the Diageo ones, so like Guinness, Carlsberg and so on like that there. But if you look closely, you'll start seeing similar brands reappear, but you've also got the same style. So some places you end up with 7 lagers. Yeah. Well, they might be Intercontinental or Carp, you know what I mean? Like, but they're all the same people. If they've got those controls from those limited amount of licenses, how many routes to market do we have as small independents?
A lot of it is built into the keg price, though, in my experience, because I have a bit of an insight into it now. So some of the pubs that we've worked with that have then went on to open up brew pubs, when I look at the keg price, the support's in it. It's not like they're gifting them the money. But the challenge is the exclusivity aspect of it. So if someone is a Diageo bar or a Tenants bar, you can't get a draft account in there because the condition is that they stick with them. So when I visit our GB customers who sell malt or yeast to, what I find is that 80% of their production goes into keg, whereas here, 2-3% of production goes into keg. Now we have the exception of the few brew pubs and obviously Bullhouse East now that's supporting just all local craft beer. The big challenge therein is that there isn't enough profit in the packaged beer for the breweries to grow, and I would like to think that the quality of Northern Irish beer has excelled in recent years to a level where we're making some of the best beer in the whole of the UK and some of the best beer in Ireland. The challenge that we have now is how do we get the person watching this to choose local beer over the macro brands, and that's why we're putting this feature together.
It's a very difficult thing in general because, like, I've worked in off licenses, bars, I've worked with breweries and stuff all on different levels, and it's the same issue has always been in Northern Ireland because of the ceiling of 1,200 licenses. You've only got a certain amount of taps to play with. If the big guys, for want of a better phrase, are tapping up again, how do we get a route to market? So what has always been our out has been packaged goods. Yeah. Now that works to an extent, but your margins for both sides on packaging is completely different to draft. Yeah. And most people like to take a sample because that is a commitment in themselves, a packaged good, because they're having to pay a certain price for something, whereas on tap you can give someone a sample just so they can taste it, so before they purchase they can actually see, right, I know exactly what I want. Because what's the unique selling point of these smaller independents is they're trying to get innovation, they're trying to be creative, they don't want to just make the same stuff over and over again. Yes, consistency is key with the core ranges and stuff, but like they have a bit more fun being able to play with it. And when consumer trends and preferences change, the smaller breweries are always the first to react. You look closely and historically, Heineken will start to acquire bigger breweries, or the craft brewers in particular. They take Beavertown's acquisition and finally went to 100% this year. Yeah. But that was because they seen between Nick Dwyer's illustrations and fun art alongside their beers like Gamma Ray and stuff at the time were punching above where they would be. Yeah. You look at GB now, or even in specifically London, how many Beavertown accounts there are, but they're all a Heineken. Yeah. So you're immediately losing another tab because they've been acquired by the big ones. Yeah. And this is always going to be a continuous cycle unless things change. Let's look at the supply chain. So in Northern Ireland, like, you have an X amount of breweries, 31 with a few other contract brands, a few coming up. they all work with local suppliers. Like, we're not just talking about, they go for the cheapest, they work together collaboratively, and that's the beauty of the nature. So whether it's for yourselves, getting ingredients or helping work with each other to get the best sourcing for materials, goods and so on, they're constantly building on that. But they're also they're employing people within their local communities, whether it be directly within the brewery or indirectly with their friends and family helping out. Whether it be the individuals in the off sales or the pubs, they're constantly giving money back into their local communities as well as the wider Northern Ireland economy. Like, I don't feel like I really need to emphasise it, but Guinness made 8.2 billion hectolitres of beer last year, essentially. And like some of our Northern Ireland producers make as little as 40 hectolitre. And like that's economies of scale is completely different. So when people see a price of Guinness in the city centre, $5.50, and someone then comes across from the pub and say, well, that's made here. Why is that slightly different? Because you have to remember that the economies of scales are not the same.
It's not possible for them to make it at that price. We visited the factory that's in St James's Gate. It's mind blowing, and I mean factory as in like it's extreme brewing. It's not like you can't compare it, and I guess that's part of the reason. Like, I hate the term craft beer, but like it's handmade. It's made, with passion. It's made with a lot of effort and integrity. So the person's actually invested in the quality, and they want the flavours to be expressed in a great way. But like, one of the reasons I invited you along was you've done a lot of great work on highlighting where you can get the beer. So you've built a list of bottle shops, independent off licenses, craft supporting locations, and then obviously the tap rooms and brew pubs. So tell people how they get access to that.
So essentially, going back to 2013, when I first started this journey, I always said I didn't know where to go. So I kept saying to myself, anywhere I went, I started just jotting it down. And because it's like anything, you text your friend or whatever, word of mouth was always the key. So I just started building up this basic data set, location, some brands that they work with and so forth, and understand where it is. So how do you get in contact? How do you get there? So I use Google Maps. So on my website, tiltonport.com/breweries, there's like an embedded map where locations, including off sales, pubs, restaurants have moved into a bit of event space and so on. But this is a community thing as well. It's not just me leading this. I've got forums up there, so if you find something that I've missed, you put me a message and I'll send you a form just to fill in. And it's actually on the website as well too, so you can automatically do it. And I vet it, and I go through, contact them, just see that it is. But the thing is, it needs to be updated all the time. So if the community embeds with me, we can make this more accessible, because the problem is that I find, you probably agree with me, a lot of people don't realise what's actually out there in Northern Ireland. Like I'm a sucker for getting really, really good beers, but no one talks about them. In the same way as the big white whale chasing beers from UK and even America. We remember those names, but we forget we have actually got some of the best breweries in Ireland and our Northern or UK actually here as well. If you compare like Northern Ireland to different parts of the UK or GB, Bullhouse and Boundary are relatively around the same age, give or take a couple of years. But if you compare that to Cloudwater in Manchester and Northern Monk in Leeds, they're all both roughly the same age. But if you look at what they were able to do in comparison, two things I will note is they're different economies of scale in terms of initial investment and so on. But because of Cloudwater being completely focused within Manchester, embedding it to the local market, as well as Northern Monk being Leeds orientated, they've given so much back to their local communities. The local communities are all aware of all these brands and what they produce, so there's a natural buy-in. So immediately now they've got so much accessibility to the routes to market. Now that does help with their legislation not being as restrictive as ours is, but they have continuous routes to the market when then they can understand, like Northern Monks have a patrons project, and that's where they play with all their mad stuff. They've got a consistent core range, and that allows them to do that. We have breweries here like that in Northern Ireland, Boundary, Bullhouse and so on. These guys are continuously trying to develop, but they're being stifled by legislation. It's very, very backwards in Northern Ireland at times, and it's frustrating as a consumer, because I know if I went to Glasgow, if I went to Cardiff or whatever, I can go and get as many breweries as I wanted to and visit them. I can't do that here. Like Bullhouse East is here, and John Hewitt, now ran by Boundary, they've had been acquired for the system that's currently broken for them, and they've had to put up a massive amount of money to buy these licenses. Whereas over there, I can go into a tap room, have a little pub beside it, and so on.
Even cask, for example, it's non-existent here almost in comparison to GB, but the beer's there. The brewers have the capacity to sell cask, to sell keg. We just want you to go out and ask for it, and I genuinely want you to support my customers and your friends and community, because if we don't support them, they won't be here in a very short period of time. And I can't get that message across any more sincerely than it's such a lovely community of people making really high quality beer. And look, my encouragement to you guys watching this is, check out Stephen's blog, support the locations that he has listed on it. If you find somewhere new that's listing great beer, let him know. Let's get behind this as a community and make a difference to Northern Ireland brewing scene.
Like, we have a system here that's going against us. One thing we actually have here is we can work collaboratively and grow together to eliminate that there.
Stephen, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you've heard today from some of our passionate brewers, bloggers, publicans, independent bottle shops. The one thing I'm going to say here, it's not possible for me to spend weeks upon weeks going around to absolutely everybody, but we have craft beer brew pubs, bars, independent bottle shops dotted all over the province. So if you're in Derry, Londonderry, you've got Walled City Brewery, you've got Rough Brothers that you want to check out there. If you want to go down into sort of Fermanagh, you've got Old Pals Brewpub and the Fermanagh Brewing Company. In Belfast City Centre, we've highlighted some of our customers down there. Look, there is beer available all over the province here. We encourage you to get out there and support these guys. They need your support. You can see how difficult a trading environment it is. You can see that they really care about the quality of the product that they're making. Like, I'm super proud of our customers. I'm very grateful for our customer support. So Geterbrewed as a brand has grown year on year. We're 10 years old coming in April next year. And we have achieved so much in growing the craft beer community here. And we're really proud of our team here, and we're very grateful for all the hard work we do. The one caveat I want to put in this is the momentum of change is coming. We can see more brew pubs opening, we can see more breweries opening, we can see growth, we can see huge potential. Please, please, please support these guys. We do not want to see that regressing. And in the current financial climate and with the restricted licensing laws, that's a very real prospect. So we need your help, and we encourage you to vote with your feet and get into these brew pubs, get into these bars, get into the breweries and buy their beer, follow them on social media, engage with them, talk about their products, try their products, and we're going to continue to support them and continue to work with them. So come and join our beer community here in Northern Ireland and make it a better place. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy brewing.